Hello, and welcome to The Fool and the Philosopher.
The Philosopher and the Fool.
Alright. What are we doing today?
Well, actually, I have quite a few things to talk about.
Ooh, alright. I have a few as well, but mine can wait, so let's go with you.
Alright, so, I mean, it's probably going to sound more like me whining than talking about some things. But, for one of my classes, we have to read Atlas Shrugged.
Okay.
And that's a long book.
Yep. Possibly the longest.
Dear God. Is it?
Yep. It's possibly the world record holder.
It is. It's almost 2 miles, like, depending if you line them up right, it's 2 miles and books in length.
Yeah. Do you have an audiobook of it, or are you...
There's a free one, but it's... I feel like if I get on an audiobook, I'm going to, like, increase the speed to listen to it.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it. Just put it to, like, 1.5, 2, 2.5,
Yeah.
3. Apparently there's a part in the... I haven't read it, but apparently there's a part in the book where the main character has, like, a 60-page monologue or something.
Yeah, no, it would be the longest speech ever given.
Yeah.
He's giving a speech to the crowd, I think.
Yeah. But
it would have been the longest speeches ever given. Apparently speeches have gone longer these days, but...
Well, filibustering speeches, probably.
Yeah, well, also, some rallies these days go on for, like, an hour and a half of just straight-up speaking.
Yeah. That'll be a... It is like a... What do you call it? It's kind of a classic, so... Having one of us that knows it will be cool. We can talk about it. You can... I had my, like... 7 or 10 episodes of Kant and Jordan Peterson, so now you can have your 20 episodes of Ayn Rand.
I don't like Ayn Rand, though.
I think she has some good ideas. I think she might not express them in the best ways, but I don't know. The book might be great.
Well, actually, one of the greatest ironies about it is, so there's a professor who really liked her, and so he's made a copy of her book available for free for all university students.
Wow. That sounds
expensive. Which I think is kind of a irony.
Oh, that he's... Oh, wait, so she doesn't... Her or whoever gets her the money doesn't get it, or how's that work?
I'm not exactly sure, but it's just... I think that, like, he bought out the rights, basically, so there's a free version for certain students.
But... You see, what he's doing is he really likes it when other people read it, so it's for himself. It's... what's that called? Logical altruism or something? It's not called that, but it's that idea of...
Yeah, but still, I find it a bit of an irony.
Yeah.
It's like the... It's like the grant you can get for writing a really good essay about Ayn Rand.
Yeah. I was considering just, like, stealing an essay and sending it, like, reading the Wikipedia summary.
Yeah, it's...
But that maybe I don't understand her if I'm willing to do that.
Yeah. Well, funny thing was, the teacher who's assigned this project's Chinese.
Yeah.
And he gave a quote from her to start with, which is, like, he's read the book apparently, and the quote was something about, like, I can understand the person who is, like, on the wrong side of the argument and the person on the right side, because the person on the wrong side knows that he's wrong and can see the virtue in the right side, but someone who stands in the middle is truly evil because they're not willing to commit to either, and so they're not willing to do any good and cannot see it, like, either side.
Wow, I think I really disagree with that.
And he's saying, I'm Chinese, Confucius and the various other things really disagree with that.
Like, I think you're not responsible for not, you know...
yeah, it's basically accusing, like, inaction.
Yeah, which I think there is an argument to be made for it, but I think you can always do more, and the logical extreme of that is impossible.
Yeah.
And maybe you can't take arguments to their logical extreme, but I do that with stuff like mathematics and politics and all this sort of thing. Like, if you did this happens if you put it to the farthest extent, and so therefore it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Which might be the wrong way to do it. Maybe you have to be balanced in the... It's like...
Well,
yeah. I don't know.
I think the cool thing is, so he's asking us to read this book.
Yeah.
I don't think he agrees with Ayn Rand.
Well,
I find that really cool and refreshing in some ways that he's like asking us to read a book, and as a professor, and he doesn't actually agree with the book he wants us to read.
yeah. Well, that's what his job is. It's good
Yeah.
to get different viewpoints. Diversity is a university's greatest strength. The diversity of thought. They just sometimes they forget that. Yeah.
No, so transferring slightly to that, the university's greatest strength. I think artists and possibly intellectuals have gone sane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were they ever sane?
Well, so how I view art is I like art that looks nice, and I like art that's cool. And there can be also sometimes like sort of mind-bending art, like what's his face, the guy who does the Impossible Cube and all those things. And I think those are kind of cool looking.
Like Escher?
Yeah, Escher. Like they've got nice lines and they're cool looking. But there's a point where I feel like artists these days are, instead of making art for people, they're making art for artists.
Yeah, they're sniffing their own farts.
It's like some sort of insanity. Like, this one guy's like, oh, I really like these modernists. Like, some of their art just really speaks to me. And it's like, that looks like a mesh bag holding coconuts.
I heard it's kind of related, I think. I don't remember who said the phrase, but they called it irony poisoning, which I really liked. Alpharad on YouTube, you've watched him a bit, I think?
Yeah.
He has this very ironic sense of humor, especially in his Alpharad Plus thing. For the most part, he's very funny. But the irony is so much so that it's hard to find genuineness in anything he says. And he also laughs at the most inane things. And it's called memes. People call it memes, like this humor that is referencing other humor and being ironic about everything. It's not memes. Memes are popular with the world, like they're shared. So some of them are, but not all of them. A meme isn't just a funny picture. It's well, maybe it is at this point. Words change meanings. But you're forgetting the reason for the art. Like, it's like when people are tired of epic fantasy, they're like, well, Lord of the Rings is... Well, nobody's going to complain about Lord of the Rings, but people want a refreshing change from epic fantasy. But epic fantasy is great for a reason, and beautiful art is beautiful for a reason, and funny stuff is funny for a reason, and there's a lack of genuineness, I think, in that. I'm not calling it an epidemic, but it's... The problem, I think, is... it's not even a problem, but people are so smart and their brains are so powerful that we can pick an idea apart until we need something to replace it, and then we need something to replace that replacement, and we follow something way too far when we should just dabble in stuff almost.
Yeah. Well, like on this, he's showing us like a slide of the history of sculptures, right?
Yeah.
And so he started with that sculpture of the like fat lady or something, the like fertility sculpture.
Yeah.
And he's saying, I don't consider this a sculpture. Like, this is just early people trying to do stuff. I think sculptures like started in ancient Egypt, and he's like, show us some. But he's saying they're not very good. The arms are very straight. They're super rigid. And I was thinking, well, the Egyptians really liked straight lines, and also, their technology wasn't there, but they still look cool. And then he progressed to like the Greeks and stuff, and saying like, this cloth looks better than real cloth, but it's so tiresome. It's just been done over and over again. Just realistic marble-looking people are perfect. It's like, I really like these sculptures, like showing us these other ones. And one of them was like this horrible, messy human crawling across the ground with like a line of shit going behind them.
Ew.
Coming out there, and it's like a sculpture, and he's saying, I really like this one. Or there's this other artist who has some cool things, but like he makes these really good clay sculptures. And then he gouges chunks out of them, and they cast them in bronze.
That's weird.
And like they look really horrible and twisted in some ways. And then he's, like I was saying, like the one sculpture was like, it looked like bags of groceries or something. And
there's a really good video game reviewer, Matthew Matosis. And he does one thing that I find I don't disagree with it, but it's not for me. he's a reviewer. He plays a ton of games and reviews a ton of games and
Yeah.
goes through them. When he finds a game, Yahtzee does this as well, the zero punctuation guy.
Mm-hmm.
When they find a game that is the best at what it does, but let's say it's Age of Empires 2, but better in every way, just a tiny bit better in every way, they will rate that game less highly than Age of Empires 2 because Age of Empires 2 invented it and was unique and original, whereas this is just sticking to the same old worn path. I think games should be looked at in the long run, where, let's say, 50 years from now, people say, oh, that game that replaced Age of Empires 2 is great, let's play that. They're not going to be playing Age of Empires 2, assuming that a game comes and replaces it. That's way better. And I think that is a good thing. So the Greek artwork, it's beautiful. It holds up today. Whereas people are going to move on from the gouged, destructive art of today and move on to something else. It's kind of like fashion, how a short hair, suit and tie always stays in fashion. But there's always the big, currently it's like having a paintbrush on your head. And beards come and go and hair length comes and goes and shaving and patterns.
Black is always black.
Makeup seems to be coming in for men again, and high heels and tights, they come and go. But suit, tie, short hair, that always is around.
Yeah,
so if you want to be the very best of the instant, you have to be different. But if you want to stand out through time, then yeah.
Yeah. Like you said quite a few podcasts ago, black is always black. China is always China.
Yeah. Yeah, black is always the new black.
Mm-hmm.
And although Louis XIV, I think he kind of perfected fashion. That is always going to be the height of male fashion.
I hope not.
My muffins! I'm back.
Yep.
They need like 10 more minutes.
You say that like short hair, suit and tie is always going to be like the good fashion for men, but once women start doing it, men aren't going to do that fashion anymore.
It'll come back around though, like it always does. Like it won't be like there's like I said, if you want to be the height of fashion, you have to do the temporary thing. Like you have to have a paintbrush head and makeup and piercings and tattoos. But
no, whenever women start adopting men's fashion, men abandon it.
Yeah, but they will come back to it. We'll come back to it. Like they're coming back to makeup and tights. They're coming back to tights. Soon they'll be coming back to big powdered wigs.
We can only hope for that.
We're entering a new era of fashion. But you look at I don't know.
Well, I think the hair being propped up like paintbrushes is kind of the wigs.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see.
Well, especially back, was it the perms?
Yeah, like the great big sort of poofy. But you look at King Henry VIII, and he would fit in nowadays. I was talking to a guy the other day that looks like him. He's just got the slight beard, nobody dresses quite as warmly as him. But he definitely looks like just an ordinary dude. With very giant coat.
Who's massive?
Yeah, but beyond the giant coat, he's like an ordinary dude. He's got the beard and the he doesn't got like an eyebrow piercing or anything. Or
no.
Or a big paintbrush hat. I don't know what that hat is actually.
It looks like a sad crepe.
It looks like he's wearing a moccasin on his head.
Yeah, actually, that's much better. It looks like a shoe.
Yeah.
All the paintings, he looks exactly the same.
Yeah, I think he might have been overweight. Or he had a very big coat.
No, it's the fashion of men at the time.
Yeah.
To look like
fat.
Giants. You are listening to The Fool and the Philosopher.
I've been thinking about this for a week or two now, and I sent you a video. It was part of my thinking about it and research.
Yeah.
like you read about them in books and you use them in war games and you see them in movies, and they always don't make sense to me. Like when the Rohirrim charge down the hill at the orcs, there's no way that should work. Like, how do the horses keep moving? Why aren't they just like crashing into each other and getting impaled on their spears? And even if a horse just hits a human, like horses are big, but humans are big too. Like, surely that slows the horse down at the very least. Like if I ran full speed at a big dog, I'd probably trip.
Well, so the cavalry charge of both the Rohirrim and the Winged Hussars was actually a developed technique that was done with horse charges, which is you start out as a wave, but you notice how like in the movie with Rohirrim they spread out.
Yeah.
And sort of like look like Swiss cheese if you were to look at them from overhead or something. Like there's holes in their formation. It's basically so the first line hits, and a horse will knock someone flying in a full charge.
Yeah.
But it'll lose momentum. And then that horse stops, and the other horses go past it.
Yeah.
And so it's basically like getting hit over and over again with a hammer is how
like
horse
a
charges.
rotating charge sort of thing.
Yeah, that's basically like, it's over and over, and that is something that had to be developed.
Because what I was reading was people were saying, deep infantry ranks you do not want to charge, and what you'd most often see is cavalry sweeping by the edges of infantry formations. And just don't stop on a horse, because a horse versus an infantry unit is actually at a disadvantage if they're both still.
Yeah.
Which is not something represented in like Warhammer or something, because you stop after you... Whereas in real life, you'd probably either... If they don't break, you wouldn't actually charge. You wouldn't complete the charge. You just wheel away to the right or left.
Yeah.
Or if you desperately wanted to fight them, you would like harass them, like swooping in and out. And
if your amount of horses though is great enough, you can do that hammer thing.
Yeah.
And that's what the Hussars did as well. The Hussars actually had several things going for them. Like they were
I still don't
dragons.
think you're flinging your horse at someone's body. Like that seems like bad for the horse.
Well, all the time you're like going by and like sweeping and stuff, or you're spearing them. Like you break the initial ranks, and then the people behind are slightly more spooked and scattered.
Yeah.
The Hussars were, I think, either light or heavy dragons.
Yeah.
Or whatever they're called.
Dragoons. Yeah.
Dragoons, that's it.
Yeah.
And so when they rode in a charge, they had this special stirrup basically for their lance, so that they could grab it really fast. And they would stand up in their horses while charging and fire pistols at the front rank. And then as they got closer, they would either straight up drop the pistol or put it away and grab their lance and then slam it with their lance. Then they'd let go of their lances and draw their swords. And so they would basically hit the front lines twice with like 2 different concussive blows. And then everyone else left standing, they'd start charging and trying to cut down with their sabers.
Yes, Skullgrim did a video on cavalry charges, which I thought was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But I find that I'm not sure anyone that's talking about it actually knows what they're talking about, because we have very rarely actually... There's almost no accounts of cavalry charges that are like good. And
well, the charge of the Light Brigade.
We don't really have pictures that are good, or like we don't have any idea what they look like for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Well,
which is why that video I sent you of the British police charging the protesters was pretty cool, because
we have the charge of the Light Brigade.
We don't know what that looks like though. I don't think.
I thought maybe there was some people witnessed it though.
Maybe. And that wasn't against infantry, anyways, was it? That was against tanks, I thought, or machine guns.
It was horsemen charging out of a forest against tanks.
Yeah, so that's a bit different, I think.
Yeah, no, the Light Brigade.
Or it might not be, because if you can't run into a tank, but maybe you can't run into deep infantry either. So you just run by, anyways.
The Light Brigade, that's a mixed story as well, because a lot of people said it's like the last cavalry charge and it was worthless and like the Light Brigade got slaughtered, which they did. However, they knew they were going to die and they served their purpose, which was to slow down the tanks.
I heard that Napoleonic cavalry would charge with pistols, and so they would run up and then shoot their pistols and then go in with their sabers. So they would break, like you never charge infantry that are holding, basically. You always want to break them before you attack.
Yeah, there's like after cannon fire, like after a sweep of cannon fire, also cavalry would charge.
Yeah. And I also heard like old infantry, they didn't have pistols, of course. They would use javelins and stuff, like run in, break them with the javelins, then go in with your swords.
Yeah.
So
well, that was even the idea of a lance, is you have a long thing in front of your horse to poke people with.
But it sounds like, for the most part, cavalry was for attacking broken troops, making sure they don't regroup, basically, and doing as much damage as you can. Because if infantry hold, there's not much you can do against them.
Or you use a unit of cavalry to destroy a unit of infantry.
But how? I don't know if you can. Like, maybe if you have, like, cataphracts, you can. But beyond that...
Yeah, so you get big, heavy horses, and you make a wedge, and
but
then...
what does that mean? Like, why are if the infantry don't move, your wedge isn't going to do anything. You're just going to crash into each other.
So there's spaces in between the horses, again. There's distance, and so basically, you're expecting your front horses to die.
But nobody's going to volunteer for that job. That's crazy.
People who are fighting for their country will die for it.
I don't think horses were suicide. Like, horses were expensive. They're not suicide troops. I don't know. It seems unlikely. I don't believe in cavalry charges.
We'll have to do more research on cavalry charges.
Because I don't think a wedge of... Like, I was also reading about something called mounted infantry, which I thought is cool. It sounds
You
ridiculous.
ride up, get off your horse?
Yeah. So it's all the benefits of both. You have the speed of the cavalry, plus the mobility of the infantry.
Like the samurai?
Maybe.
They did that. They would ride up and then get off their horses.
Because the problem with being on a horse is you can't really reach the people, and they can hack at your legs and at your horse. And your horse isn't often armored.
Cavalry is also good for attacking archers.
Because they're not like a unified block.
Yeah.
So I think if an infantry block holds, there's very little you can do against them other than like pepper at them with ranged weapons or get into a very serious fight with other infantry.
Or there's mounted cavalry. I mean mounted archers.
Yeah, well that's the same idea of peppering them with range.
Yeah. You just keep running away.
Honestly, it's like square formation around a cannon or something. Like you're pretty solid.
Yeah, until you get hit by a cannon.
Well, maybe not a cannon, because they didn't do much. Around a
Until you get hit by a literal cannon.
Yeah.
They fling a catapult rock with a cannon.
I've heard that cannons have never really been that effective at casualty causing, though. Which just adds more to my war is all about morale.
Well, I mean, Napoleon dispersed a riot with a cannon.
So there's a number that has held consistent throughout history, which is about 30% casualties is considered... the unit is considered absolutely destroyed.
Ah.
And that's held true for most of history, apparently, which is a lot lower than you'd think.
Not in World War I or II.
No, they probably held better then. Like, yeah.
Well, not against the Japanese.
Or the Russians, or there's always
Yeah.
people that... Especially World War I and II were much... See, the thing about the Japanese is that I don't think their warrior culture has always been that way. Like, this was part of Dan Carlin's show. It was people trying to emulate the samurai that caused them to be fanatics, rather than the samurai themselves. It's kind of like how we talk about knights being so heroic and, like, following this code of honor and all this sort of thing.
I could see that.
And so it was people wanting to be samurai rather than the actual samurai, in a way.
Yeah. So they're fanatics to an ideal.
By then. And they had been turned into, like, administrators and, like, politicians and...
Yeah, so the soldiers were just then fanatics.
Yeah, because Japan's, like, whole governance system was really weird for ages.
The worst thing to fight is a fanatic.
Definitely. Because they have high
And that's in
morale.
anything, like, even arguing with a fanatic's dangerous.
And it's kind of futile.
Yeah.
You can't... Actually, arguing with someone who is very, like... very honest and they want to talk with you and they're willing to listen and change their mind is still pretty much futile. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but in the moment, you don't really change your mind.
If you lose, you die.
Well. Yeah, it really puts you, like, you're back in the corner when someone says something against you and you just don't want to agree with them.
It's actual psychology, like an argument. If you lose, you die.
Yeah. And I've felt that a lot. Like, you want to be willing to agree with them and stuff, but you're just like, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. My world is the right world. Because you're destroying the entire world when you disagree with someone. You're trying to remake the way they perceive reality. It's like saying, yeah, your eyes don't actually work. That thing that you've thought is trees forever, those are like cows that move and graze. Like, and they're like, no, that's impossible. My life is a lie. Like, you're wrecking reality.
You are listening to The Fool and the Philosopher.
You know, people that say, I never grew up. Like, I'm still a big kid, or all that sort of stuff. Like,
Yes.
I feel the same. Well, it's time to start, you babies.
I actually agree with you there.
Take responsibility. Be an adult. Eat a muffin. What's that thing called that you're talking about? It was like Korean, where you eat food into a microphone.
Yeah.
Adults, grow up. I mean, become adults. You're adults, for goodness sakes.
Being an adult doesn't mean you have to be miserable.
C.S. Lewis has an amazing quote. C.S. Lewis. Adult. About being an adult. C.S. Lewis is the guy who wrote Narnia.
Oh, okay.
Ah, yes. When I became a man, I put away childish things, including the fear of childishness and the desire to be very grown up. So I think calling things childish is kind of silly, but also not taking responsibility and not being an adult and, you know.
Well, a phrase I hear a lot in the college and like around people in dorms and stuff is because a lot of them are like 18, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and like adulting's hard.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, get used to it.
Grow up.
This is life. It's not adulting, it's life.
Yeah, I think that's the way to look at it. The whole real world concept, it's never sat well with me. Mm-hmm. Life is the real world. You've always been in the real world.
Yeah. You're just not... You just need help with it.
And I've got to say, so speaking of like the whole real world, like when you're in the real world, you'll you know, this homework will seem like nothing sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have hobbies that are more demanding than my job. Like, all my hobbies. Not just one. Like, this thing is easy. And it pays really well. Like, I don't want to suddenly lose a lot of money because they're like, wait a minute, we're overpaying him. I don't think you are. It's not hard to do a job. It's just, I just have to go talk to people and organize things and just like communicate with the public and drive around and put out posters, and it's easy. It's fun. It's like, you know, when I rewrite the rules for Warhammer and add my own additions and combine 3 different rule sets and then have to type it all up by hand because it was all in PDFs, that's hard. That takes me ages. This is like, oh yeah, can you build this poster and like fix this and change this typo and get someone to translate this into French? And it's like,
yeah.
For me, doing everything myself is how you work. And also the other thing is the pace is ridiculous. Like when I edit my books and write 4 hours straight, and people are, oh, you only work 4 hours a day. Yeah, but if you work at an intense office for 8 hours, you're doing less than me for the most part, it seems. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just in these really cushy areas I'm finding. But it's like, when I worked on, like, the kids' camp, it was very fun, but I was constantly on. When I worked the thingy with the thingy, wood chipping, when I was, like, doing labor, that was constant work, but not much
Labor
of
is
it.
constant.
Labor is constant, but at the same time, there's a lot of, like, in between, like going from one place to another, cleaning up, all this sort of stuff. You know, waiting to figure out how you want to do something.
Yeah.
Like, the editing is, like, non-stop. Like, you've used up all your energy for, like, the day and then some. I'm not saying it's the hardest thing, it's just, the real world isn't that hard. Like, my hobbies are harder.
Well, it's,
Playing Age of Wonders is harder, because you gotta think stuff through more. Maybe it's on me. Maybe I should be putting more into the job.
maybe.
No, I put a lot into my hobbies. I've heard, and I agree with, and it seems to be the general consensus, you can't really do more than 3 or 4 hours of real work a day.
Mm-hmm.
like without making yourself pretty tired, or you lose effectiveness, definitely.
Yeah.
At the very least. And I think you're not actually doing, like, sometimes you're just undoing work later.
Yeah.
With
No, it's like...
work, you're not, because you don't care, but...
You are listening to The Fool and the Philosopher.
Have I talked about this on the podcast, the whole people hating thing? Probably not.
No.
Maybe I have. I talk about it a lot, but maybe not on the podcast. There's no point in saving the world unless we're alive to enjoy it. Like, who cares about everyone else? Like, they're just animals and plants and rocks and stuff. Like, the thing that matters is us. So, humans are not a blight. We have as big a right to be here as anyone else. More so, even, because we're us and we care about us more than we care about them. And they're different, so we shouldn't like them. And as much.
The best way to help someone is to help yourself. The best way to help the world is to help humanity.
Yeah, like, don't... Yeah, that's probably Ayn Rand stuff. I'm probably, like, her biggest fan if I had read her or something. Who knows? But, seriously, why save the Earth if we're not going to have a part in it? Who cares? Like, we can't hurt the Earth. If we nuke everything, life will come back. Like, well, actually, maybe if we tried really hard, maybe we could wipe out life forever, but I doubt it. Like, it doesn't matter what we do. Life is going to go on, so don't worry about it. Worry about saving humans.
Yeah.
We're not a parasites. We're not a disease. We're not this. We're not that. We're just... We have a right to this earth because we are here, and that's... By the divine right of firsties, it's ours.
It reminds me of when I felt some guilt for setting mouse traps. A while back, I was like, oh man, I feel bad about this. So I was thinking about, alright, so this whole house, theoretically, is my den. I am an apex predator. Now, another creature is coming into my den. Like, it is basically forfeited its right to live for coming into the most dangerous place in the world.
I mean, it is a shame still.
Yeah, it is. It's... I don't know, as a sort of a way to condole myself. I don't know.
Lie to you, or like, what is that called? Yeah. Justify yourself.
Yeah, justify it. My justification is this
the sweet
little mouse.
lies you tell yourself to go to sleep at night.
Yeah. Well, it's not even a lie. In some ways, it's the truth.
Oh yeah, that's the best part. Is you can tell yourself it's the truth, and it's the truth that matters. It's not a different one, and you'll be good, and you can sleep now. It's okay, honest. It's fine. It is, because it's true. It's all facts. Facts are true.
You are listening to The Fool and the Philosopher.
I had a question about this. I was thinking of it. Do you think lying is not saying facts, or do you think lying is misleading? Like, could I tell you a lie that was more useful? I could tell you a lie that is more useful than the truth. And I could tell you a truth that is more harmful than a lie.
I think lying is when you're not telling the whole truth.
Yeah, so, well, that's what I'm talking about. Like, let's say I wanted to explain why the sky is blue. And I said it's because of, it filters out all colors but blue and violet. The atmosphere is bent in a way that filters out all colors blue and violet. That's not really the truth. Like, it's close to the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the truth. But that's a useful statement. Whereas if I said something, if someone said, "Where were you?" and I said, I was at my friend's house, and I drove and stopped by their house for 2 seconds so I could claim that, and then went out partying at the drug den.
Mm-hmm.
Then, and I'm telling the truth that I was at my friend's house. Honestly, dear, I was just at my friend's. Then that truth is harmful in a way.
Yeah. So
is it actually a truth and a lie? Because it's a lie that tells you the truth, and it's a truth that tells you a lie.
I think that's a lie. Like, there's a thing that people do, as you're saying, the little lies, but the truth as well. This is a thing that alcoholics do, which is, or people who are slightly trying to recover, but they're not doing so well. So they'll go to a store and they'll buy a magazine, and then they'll buy alcohol.
Yeah.
And so if someone asks them, "Oh, what are you doing downtown?" they'll say, "Oh, I'm going shopping." So what did you buy? I bought a magazine. So they can tell the truth.
Yeah.
But that isn't the truth of what they're doing. What they're doing is they're buying alcohol in a magazine, and they're buying the magazine to divert attention from the alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Whereas with the sun, it's like, why is the sky blue? You're explaining it to be the truth as best you can without any intended harm.
yeah, and
However,
just simplifying it.
yeah. However, even then, that's not the absolute truth, and I prefer the absolute truth. But
Okay,
maybe you
so-
can't give it to me.
The absolute truth, right? So the universe is made up of octagons. These 7-dimensional octagons, right? And they kind of wobble a bit. And when they intersect with each other, that intersection is the rules of the universe. In like a 6-dimensional intersectional rules of the universe. And such as gravity and electromagnetism and stuff, but it's all actually called gravmagnetism, and that creates a phenomenon known as
Reality.
light, and the light is blue, and that's why the sky is blue. And we have a filter on the atmosphere that gets rid of all the blue, so we can see the other colors.
Okay.
What if shapes caused colors and not light? Like if the leaves were green or yellow because of the time of year and their shape and where they were, rather than...
Well, leaves are yellow because of the time of year.
No. But what if, like, imagine all light on Earth was just blue. So we evolved in such a way to differentiate stuff easily. Different shapes were different colors.
That would be wacky.
And we could also recognize like a dead leaf because if we noticed holes and stuff in it, it would appear yellow to us instead of green. Like that'd be way less useful because you would be wrong so often.
Yeah.
But it would be a pretty good shortcut if you didn't have any other options.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be the truth.
Well, it would be because the truth is just observation.
I guess.
And what more can you do than that? Like, what is the truth? At what scale is reality real? Is the truth that everything's made of little particles? Is the truth that it's all one tiny indifferentiable dot? Is the truth that you have a desk with a microphone on it? Or are they all... Or is
A
the
desk
truth,
covered in duct tape with a microphone on it.
or is the truth a house? Like, on what scale is reality real?
I guess so.
So it would be the truth. Like, why is the colors we see the truth? It's just an interpretation we have to be useful, so we can tell if stuff's poisonous or wounded or whatever. Like, you know?
Yeah.
I just hijacked a useful system.
You are listening to The Fool and the Philosopher.
So I'm reading a book right now called Can We Be Good Without God?
Yeah.
So it's my new philosophy that I will adopt wholeheartedly. With,
Okay. Was this written by Nietzsche?
no thought or argumentation. No, it's written by a Dr. Man. I don't know his name.
Student of Nietzsche?
I don't think so. I think it's... I don't know. I haven't gotten far enough in. I'm only 60 pages in. It's about... It seems like a fairly anti-religion book. Like, he's quite generous to religion. Like, he's not like, I hate religion or anything. He's not like Richard Dawkins. But he makes religion as more of an explanation for the unexplainable. Like, it's a way that humans can blame someone on natural processes. Like, why did the sun disappear? God. That sort of thing.
Someone to a scapegoat?
Yeah. I think that's a fairly common idea for religion, that it evolved from a way to explain things.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson's argument I found more compelling, that religion is a way, and mythology is a way to speak abstractly, because abstract reasoning and speaking is actually very difficult, and I could see it taking a long series of evolution to get there, of evolution.
I have a question for you. So, if you're in court, right, did you swear on the Bible?
No, you have a choice. You can either make a solemn affirmation or swear on the Bible.
Alright, but swearing on the Bible, right?
Yeah.
So you're basically swearing on one of the most holy of holies or something like that.
Well, I think you're looking at the finger, not the moon.
Yeah, but you're swearing on a symbol of your faith.
Yeah, I think you should really just swear in God's name or something, though, instead.
Yeah. So,
When you say "so help me God," you are, but I don't think the Bible's necessary.
What do you think about swearing on a digital Bible?
Yeah, I don't think the Bible's actually useful in that whole thing. I think just making a affirmation on your faith is better. Like, by all that is good in the universe, I swear I shall follow through on this.
Well, I was thinking on this, right? So you know Wheel of Time, where what was her name? Like, this is right near the beginning of the books. But the one lady has her staff, and the other woman comments on, "Oh, that's a very powerful magic item." And she's like, "No, it's not. It's just something for me to focus on. Like, it's a tool for focus, right?"
Correct.
So what if the Bible is like a focus? Or a cross is like a focus?
For your affirmation or your belief?
Yeah.
So you hold it, and then you can swear to God better?
Yeah.
The dang kid backed into my truck. Fetch me my swearing Bible.
And so, like, I'm just saying, like, mentally, right? Like, it's a symbol.
Curse properly without my Bible.
It's a symbol, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, a digital one, can it also be a symbol?
Yeah? I don't see why not.
We were asked a question in my class where we were basically shown a picture of that. Some people swearing on a digital Bible. And I said, that seems really weird. It feels like it might be dangerous. Or I didn't mean might be dangerous, but it might not work. And I said that this comment was, "Oh, you're a very conservative opinion there." But I was coming from a view of just listening to Jordan Peterson and him talking about symbols, and symbols are very powerful.
The person themselves would have to have the meaning.
Yeah, I didn't express that right, but I was like, if the person believes in it, then it's good enough.
Do they believe in the words or in the object?
Yeah.
Or in the idea? I don't think many people believe in the words.
Mm-hmm.
In whole. Like, I think the words the ideas behind the words, definitely. But the words themselves are good stories, contradictory. It would be a weird thing to believe in because they're all just translations of the translator's choice. So you'd have to believe more in the message, I think. And if that is the case, then maybe if you believe in the institution, then you'd want the proper Bible, which the institution uses.
Yeah. Well, it's like
see, I said proper Bible even. Like,
yeah. So the symbolism of the cross, right? Apparently, it's the center of the universe. So it's all lines going towards the center, and at that center is Jesus suffering.
A lot of pain.
Yeah. So it's the center of the universe, and at the center of the universe is pain. So life is suffering.
Or all of life is designed to just cause pain.
Yeah, like that's some symbol. Like, it's also a very important place to be, though, because if you're at the center of the cross, you are taking the pain of the world.
I think you're not alive unless you're at the center of the cross.
Mm-hmm.
I think life is suffering is often used wrong. I think it's backwards. It's not life is suffering. It's life is suffering. Or suffering is life, maybe, would be an easier way to say it. If you don't care about anything, then you're not living. You're like, what's the point, you know?
Yeah.
And what is to care but to suffer?
Mm-hmm. So you have to be at the center of the cross.
Yeah. Or you're just not part of the.
Yeah. So it's a tool to help you get there.
You could exist, but you wouldn't be living.
Cross
points the way.
It's a tool like the finger, but you still have to look where the finger's pointing, not at the finger.
Yeah. Well, it is the finger. Like, the finger tells you where to go.
Yeah.
Like, the finger's useful, but you shouldn't be looking at the finger. You should be looking at the moon.
Yeah.
I think with a Bible, right, like a big, proper, leather-bound paper Bible.
Golden paint on the...
Yeah, whatever you like.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Bible. It's not... It can't be anything else. Whereas a Kindle file, you can delete it, you can put something else on. A Kindle can be any book.
Yeah.
They could switch out the Quran on you quick, like,
Yeah, or, well, one of the ones... so he's talking about these examples of...
the rings.
He's talking about the examples of... So, it's an iPad, right?
Yeah.
And they're swearing on an iPad, like this thing. So it's like...
Do you solemnly swear on Angry Birds that
well, no,
you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
So, you just have the Bible open. But the Bible's contained... Like, when you swear on the Bible, it's usually closed, right?
Yeah.
So, what if... like, you know that the Bible's stored in the internet. So you just have to put your hand on anything that can connect to the internet, and you can swear to the Bible.
Okay, what if you had a paper Bible, and it was closed?
Mm-hmm.
But someone had cut out the center of it, and filled it with little Angry Birds figurines, and you swear on the Bible, which you think is a Bible but isn't a Bible, then are you swearing on the Bible?
Yes, you're swearing on the Bible because you're just using the Bible as a tool to swear on the belief of upholding the truth through a symbol of your faith.
But in that case, then surely the digital Bible would work as well, because it matters that you think it's the Bible, not that it is the Bible.
Yes, but it might be harder to think that the digital Bible is the Bible. I'm saying it's
What
up
if you
to
were told that the Bible had the Angry Birds figurines in it, but you were using the hollowed-out Bible?
Then it might not be as effective.
Now, what if those Angry Birds figurines were connected to the internet? No, even better. What if they were carved with a miniature version of the Bible, but you didn't know about that? So you're swearing on a Bible that you know is hollowed out with Angry Birds figurines in it, but you don't know that written on the Angry Birds figurines is the entire Bible.
So you're swearing on a Bible that's true, but you think it's a false Bible, so it's a false Bible.
So you think it's a false Bible in that case?
Yes. It's what you think it is. So if you think the digital thing is good enough, then it's good enough.
Right. So the only issue then would be,
Convince
can you
yourself
trust a person's oath?
Yeah.
Because you have to ask them. So all you have to do is ask a question. Do you see this as the Bible?
Mm-hmm.
They also don't give you that many. Like at the court, they give you two options. It's like at least the one I was at in the Indies.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Bible or solemn affirmation. And the only religious person in my jury group, or majorly religious of Christian persuasion, didn't swear on the Bible because they thought it'd be awkward because no one else had. So the whole thing didn't really work.
Yeah.
And they're actually worried. It wasn't so much awkward. They were worried that they didn't know the words because they thought they were supposed to know, like, in Jesus nomine Padre, I so solemnly swear, Dies
I think it's
irae.
just I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So God be my witness.
So help me God.
Yeah. So help me God.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're basically saying God be my witness, and you're using the Bible as a telephone to ring up God so he notices.
Maybe. Why do you need a Bible in the first place? It seems weird. I think it's
Well,
to bind
the Bible
you
usually
more to
has the
moment.
cross printed on the front of it, and that
Maybe
contains his words. And the words are what God used to create the universe. And that was good.
Maybe it's like there's someone you really respect, and you would lie about something relevant to them if you didn't see them, but not to their face.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, I'll lie about my devotion to God if he's not in the room. But if he's in the room, I gotta play fair. So
Yeah.
the Bible brings God into the room.
Yeah, well, the Bible does contain the Word of God, apparently, and the Word of God is...
Well, God is the Word in a way, right? So
Yeah, God's the
Bible-
Word, but the Word of God also created the universe. He said, let there be whatever, and it existed.
So if you could bring in the universe, you could swear on that instead, maybe.
Yeah.
Or if you could bring in God. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Hello? Do you swear to swear on me?
Just put your hand on my head there. That's good. All right. Now swear on me. So you're bringing God in the room in the Bible. So if God's in the Bible, is he in the digital Bible?
Well, I mean, that's up to the person if they think he's in the digital Bible.
It's like those Quran burnings where they copy like 15 million copies of the Quran onto a hard drive and then delete it. Like
What?
Yeah, it's to show the ridiculousness of the idea of a book burning. Like, no one's getting hurt is the message that's trying to get sent.
Okay.
But at the same time, you just destroyed 15 million iterations of God's word.
Well, you know why a lot of idols glare at people, like especially Japanese idols? It's probably because it's so you have the physical presence of them glaring at you.
They're judging you.
Yeah, well, remember when we went to Japan and there's those giant statues of demons or storm gods that are giving you the death stare?
Yeah.
And their eyes are carved to have the big hollow point, so it looks like they're always looking at you? It's so you don't get up to anything in the temple. You have a god of war staring you down. So, it has to be what people believe, and I think maybe, for now anyways, maybe it's a more visceral thing, the Bible. It's a symbol that's more there.
Yeah, it's It's complicated, isn't it? It's almost like that idea of friends on the internet versus in person.
Yeah, we still need
Touch.
we still need physical contact.
You can align a lot with people's ideas, but I think you do need that contact.
Yeah.
It's not a logical thing well, it is logical, actually. Humans need touch, so you need touch.
Yeah, I think it's actually possibly one of the reasons why like wrestling for fun is great.
Yeah.
Like
you have to grope people for fun.
Well, no, it's not that. I was like laughing so much while doing it. It's like, oh, that's a good one. You really got me there.
Snapping people's necks. And
you are listening to The Fool and the Philosopher. So can you believe it? My roommates eat Campbell soup.
How dare they?
I know.
I hope they get poisoning. Well, no, I don't hope that. That's awful. They will get poisoning.
Yeah.
Because the Campbells made the soup. They broke the trust.
There's a reason why the Campbell soup is Campbell soup. No one wanted to work with Campbell's anymore, and so they had
to start a business.
Basically, yeah, to survive, they had to have a product that.
I hear that. Like they're still shunned in
our grandmother won't eat Campbell's products.
Yeah, no, I think she would.
No, she doesn't.
But
Mom,
in Scotland and in Nova Scotia, they shun Campbell's.
Yeah, no, so. she refuses to eat Campbell soup.
Yeah, and I think they, until every last one of them dies out, they should be shunned.
It's game theory.
Yeah,
they broke the sacred trust.
Okay, so back onto colonialism.
Yeah.
Even if you say that the colonialists were evil and did wrong and weren't just conquerors that were bad at their job and kinder than any conquerors before them.
Yeah.
They're gone. It's all their ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
But because the Campbells, game theory-wise, you should hate them, should you also hate the colonializers?
No, there is no sacred trust.
Right, whereas war is just that's good, honest. Poisoning people with disease-ridden blankets, that's just old, honest, politics.
Everyone agreed, everyone with full understanding beforehand and full knowledge agreed to the sacred trust.
Right. But surely when you give someone a blanket, you agree to the, soft thing. And yes, you may have the soft thing. But on the other hand, what do you gain from it? There's no room left to colonize unless... Yeah, there's no room left.
Mm-hmm.
Except unless there's a fight for Antarctica or something. So, do you actually gain anything by hating them still? I guess you milk it for whatever you can.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah. Well, I was right about YouTube. So, because they're unverified people now that aren't TV shows and whatnot. So, I was actually right that they were just trying to switch over to become the new channel.
Yeah, the new network.
So, maybe I'm right about this, and whether or not you should still blame the people for the colonialism stuff, you might as well.
Yeah, well, even, so, the sacred trust, even part of it is a curse upon the ancestry.
Yeah, but once Campbells marry into every group, what happens? Because they're big families still. Somehow.
Well, you can renounce being a Campbell by changing your last name.
Right. So all you have to do is give up on the family.
Yeah.
So maybe all you have to do is... I don't know, because they... Either they shouldn't be allowed to renounce, or they shouldn't be held to that standard. Because, really, they had nothing to do with it, right?
No, I think... It's... Game theory is too harsh.
I don't think it is. I think they broke a sacred trust. I don't know what to do about it. It's...
Yeah. No,
It's because they broke sacred hospitality.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's hard. Maybe Campbells should just stop having children and the problem will go away. And maybe... But you just can't do that. You can't blame people for their ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to.
I think...
Or who will?
We do is keeping it a joke.
Yeah, but not really.
Yeah. Just being joking.
Okay, what you do... Okay. All, colonized peoples should just roll up to like Portugal and like the UK and stuff, and just pitch some tents on the shore, and just counter colonize, right?
Yeah.
And then like give them their like sneeze on them and stuff. So that's how, and the whole colonial debate will be ended. We've done. So you roll up on the shores.
Yeah.
You do this funny thing, like you pitch up tents. You claim the land for yourself. You sneeze on them and all this, and you claim it. And then the whole colonialism thing's over. It's like, hey, it's forgiven. We've done this. And then what we do to fix the Campbell thing is we just invite the Campbells over for dinner and then kill them all in their sleep. then
that's that problem solved.
Yeah.
I think actually the punishment's meant to be worse than them all being dead, though.
Yeah, well, it's their children's children are dead.
Well, it's not even that. So, like, when the Campbells broke the Sacred Trust, it wasn't that the other Scottish people stopped, like, went on a rage and, like, killed all of them. Like, it's meant to be a vengeance so bad that they will never again have the hospitality or trust of any other person in the world.
Yeah.
Was the idea. Like, they are banished from life, basically. Like, they're banished from society.
The tit-for-tat robot competitions, which we may have talked about before.
Yeah.
They haven't found the perfect solution because it's not something you can just algorithmically find. You have to...
But a little bit of forgiveness is good.
Well, they found that whatever someone does to you, you do in return, but randomly forgive them.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the... But I wonder if it would also be better to randomly like betray people. Like a little bit of random betrayal and a little bit of random forgiveness. I wonder if that's like the even better. But a little bit of random forgiveness apparently helps, because then if you forgive the Campbells, then they like will start being good to you and stuff. But
yeah.
But can you ever trust them to actually like have truly repented? Because they broke the most sacred things, so how can you trust them on anything else?
Yeah.
But you know what they say, like the sins of the father are passed down onto the son for 7 generations or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. But that's really harsh. I don't know. But they broke like, how do you trust? But it's not even the same person. People aren't their parents.
No.
Except they kind of are, so I don't know. But they're not. And even like, okay, here's the thing about the colonialization. It was a means to... No, how do I put this? It was a means to an end, so it's okay. No. It was a thing that they went out of their... No. In the regular course of activities, they had to make hard decisions which led to terrible actions.
Yeah.
The Campbells...
made a terrible decision.
Didn't need to do this. They didn't need to invite people over to kill them.
Yeah.
So I think like colonialism would be like inviting someone over, getting in a fist fight over some drinks, and then killing them. And you're like, okay, I can forgive your children for that. Like what you did was horrible, but I will forgive your children for that.
Yeah.
But then
maybe your grandchildren.
Yeah. But then the inviting them over for the purpose of killing them, that's nasty. That is like
premeditation.
But then again, like residential schools and like the blanket thing. But maybe you're just trying to wrap up this problem that's been bugging you. But it's I don't know.
So you know how slavery is a moral technology?
Yeah.
So residential schools.
Please refer to previous podcasts so that doesn't sound horrible.
Yes. Residential schools is also was trying to do something moral.
I guess, yeah. Whereas the Campbells were...
Now, the residential schools were horribly executed. It is also just a plan that doesn't work.
Okay, the Campbells were perpetuating evil purposely.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
But, I bet there was Campbells that were like, we shouldn't do this. And I bet there was some that were like, man, I'm not going to invite this guy because I like... I bet it was like 2 leaders that were like, this is what it's going to be. And blaming the whole family, like the family should have stood up, I guess you could say, but blaming the whole family's ancestors.
Yeah.
It's a little ridiculous. And
I think it's more on the fact, like, if the people who got colonized declared a blood feud for forever and forever, then they're justified. But
yeah, maybe that's what they should do. Really, okay, maybe not. But instead of trying, like, here's the thing: like, if you try reconciliation, it'll never be enough.
yeah,
So it's almost easier if the other side just declares a blood feud. Just do acts of terrorism forever, and that'll at least, that works for every party. Everyone's understanding. They're like, yep, that's on us. But the problem with apology, like if the Campbells start apologizing and like giving me like free soup and stuff and whatnot, I'll be like, yeah, but I need more, and it'll never end.
mm-hmm.
I don't know. Life's complicated.
Yeah.
It's so complicated. You have to be like mad to spell it all out, or like Jordan Peterson or something.
Well, do you remember Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? The guy who knew everything went insane.
Yeah. I mean, I am kind of being facetious with the Campbell thing.
Yeah.
I guess, but at the same time, I don't know. Like there is something to. I like the idea of forgiveness. I think it's important.
Yeah.
But when you betray the most sacred trust, forgiveness becomes much harder.
I think if a Campbell asked me for forgiveness, I would forgive them and not have a feud against them.
But I don't think they should have to. Like, let's say us, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Should we have to go up to every, let's say, First Nations person and ask for forgiveness? Even though we are probably descended from First Nations. But we're also descended from Europeans. And the Europeans came here after the colonialization.
Yeah.
Like, there's probably Campbells that weren't even at the party, that didn't know about it.
Yeah.
And I don't... And it would be like... Can you imagine, like, how demanding that would seem? Like, oh, I have to... Okay, please forgive me. For what? Well, for people that looks like me's ancestors. For hurting my other ancestors.
I'm saying the whole, like, forgiveness thing as a joke.
Yeah, it's just... It is something that I don't think you should have to ask forgiveness for.
Like, my amount of forever, I don't know, blood feuding against Campbells is I say, ooh, Campbells. Like, grr.
So I think that's pretty solid. And also, like, after 20 years, you get out of jail for murder. Right?
Mm-hmm.
After, 10 lifetimes? Maybe you should get out of jail for breaking sacred hospitality.
Yeah. What's the game theory, Cameron?
Well, maybe, but if they serve their sentence, right?
Yeah.
Then we can forgive them. That's what it's about. It's about forgiveness.
But they'll do it again.
So I think all Campbells should be locked up. All Campbells should be locked up for 10 generations. And then they shall be absolved of all crimes.
I think they're absolved then now.
And on that note, let's end.
Yeah.